Have you ever wondered, what are the ancient cities whispering to us under the dust of thousands of years? Have you ever imagined, in the narrow alleys of Vesuvia, where footprints have turned to stone forever, there's still echoes of laughter, groans, the cries of peddlers, and whispers in the dark? Today, we will not stop at looking at silent bricks or cracked walls. We will step into the breath of history, touch the stories that are still warm with human breath, and listen to the souls that have slept for millennia. This is not an ordinary trip. This is a journey through desire, longing, life, and death to find something deeper, human nature. If you are ready, join me in opening that door. Because as soon as the smoke and dust rise from the volcano, the story of Vesuvia and the fallen civilizations will be revived in every moment. If you feel your heart is also beating with the breath of history, please click like, subscribe to the channel, drop of origin water, and leave a comment below. Each of your shares is a drop of water contributing to the river of memories so that today's story can flow further to many souls who are thirsting to find traces of the past. So let's start the journey with me. A journey that does not need a map, does not need a compass, only a heart that knows how to listen and eyes that are willing to look deep into the ashes of time. We will open the first door, the place leading to the city of Vesuvia that has slept under the lava. There, each stone slab, each wall, each alley seems to want to tell us about a world that is both brilliant and tragic. And now, our journey officially begins.
Before us lies the prosperous city of Pompeii, nestled in the heart of the Bay of Naples. Sunlight glistens off the tiled roofs, mixing with the smell of baking bread and fresh fish from the sea. Life here seems perfect until the ground trembles. People look up, confused, as the beautiful Mount Vesuvius looms ominously in the distance. What they do not realize is that the mountain is about to spew forth its wrath in the form of lava and poisonous gases, burying the entire city under thick layers of ash and pumice. Now imagine that you are an archaeologist excavating the ruins of Pompeii. Amidst the remnants of a fast food restaurant, you stumble upon a small stash of items preserved for almost 2,000 years. Let's see what these items tell us about the daily life, beliefs, and habits of the Pompeians. In the collection you found, there is a wooden comb with a bone handle, likely used by a young woman for her elaborate hairstyle. There are also broken pieces of pottery, shards bearing traces of burnt garum, a fermented fish sauce highly prized by the Romans for its intense flavor and pungent aroma. Nearby, amidst the crumbling bricks, you discover a bronze mirror, possibly belonging to a soldier preparing for battle, or perhaps a gladiator polishing his armor. These everyday objects become the keys to understanding the lives of people who once inhabited this place. For example, the comb suggests that personal grooming was an important part of Roman culture, especially for women who adorned themselves with intricate hairstyles. Meanwhile, the presence of garum on the pottery hints at the importance of good food and fine dining. The bronze mirror reflects not only the concern for appearance, but also the rituals and customs that structured their days. All these items, though seemingly insignificant, weave a rich tapestry of daily life in ancient Pompeii. Each object whispers a story of the past, inviting us to peer into the windows of homes, workshops, and taverns. It's like stepping back in time to experience the pulse of a lost world. But in addition to the common objects, your search turns up something unusual, a small amulet depicting the goddess, Venus. This find indicates that religion played a central role in the lives of the Pompeians, as it did for most ancient societies. During excavations, archaeologists often come across similar amulets, suggesting that the worship of love and beauty was particularly widespread among the Romans. You also find a clay bust depicting the Roman Emperor Nero, known for his extravagant lifestyle and controversial reign. This discovery shows that even in everyday objects there was a reflection of the political climate of the time, as well as the interests and hobbies of the population. In fact, excavations in Pompeii reveal a surprising amount of artwork depicting various emperors, suggesting that public interest in politics and current events was high. Among the rubble, you discover a set of dice made of animal bone. Could they have belonged to a gambler or legionary passing their free time? Such finds offer a glimpse into the leisure activities of the Romans, showing that even in ancient times people sought entertainment and excitement. As you continue to unearth artifacts, you notice a coin minted during the reign of the Emperor Augustus. Money was not just a means of exchange, it was a symbol of power, prestige, and authority. The image of Augustus on the coin symbolizes the stability and prosperity of the empire during his reign. Additionally, coins often bore images of deities or mythological creatures, serving as a form of religious expression in everyday life. There are also remnants of marble statues, including a graceful female figure reminiscent of the Greek goddesses of mythology. These fragments suggest that the Romans had a deep appreciation for art and beauty, and they were willing to invest considerable resources into creating and displaying it. Among the debris, you find fragments of frescoes, vivid wall paintings that adorned many Roman buildings. These paintings depicted everything from scenes from mythology and daily life to abstract patterns and landscapes. Frescoes were not just a means of decoration, they were a way of expressing oneself and communicating stories without the use of words, despite the tragedy of Pompeii's destruction. These everyday items found in the rubble offer a remarkable testament to the ingenuity, creativity, and resilience of the human spirit. From humble combs to majestic statues, each artifact is a fragment of a lost world waiting to be pieced together. Through these relics of the past, we gain a deeper appreciation for the richness and complexity of ancient Roman culture. However, beyond the tangible remnants, these items raise profound questions about human nature. For example, the combination of religious amulets and risque brothel signs suggests a society that grappled with moral complexities and human weaknesses, while the elegant comb and mirror hint at vanity and narcissism. The remnants of frescoes with erotic themes reveal a fascination with sensuality and desire. Even the gladiators' helmets and armor speak not only of warfare and combat, but also of the lengths to which people went to protect themselves. Furthermore, the diversity of everyday items unearthed in Pompeii highlights the vast social spectrum of the ancient world. There are relics that speak of luxury and decadence, such as jewelry, perfume bottles, and expensive tableware, as well as items associated with poverty and hardship, such as broken pottery and worn tools. By examining these disparities, we gain insight into the social hierarchy and economic conditions of the time. And finally, the simple coins found scattered across Pompeii offer a unique perspective on daily life. Not only do they reflect economic practices and trade routes, but they also serve as tangible evidence of the power structures and ideologies of the Roman Empire. The images of emperors and deities imprinted on the coins reveal much about the political climate and religious beliefs of the time. After spending a long day at the excavation site, you return home and wash your hands at the public baths, enjoying the warm water and fragrant oils. Later, you treat yourself to a slice of freshly baked bread from the bakery and sip sweet wine while watching the sunset over the Bay of Naples. The bustling city square is filled with the sounds of conversation, laughter, and music from street performers. People from all walks of life gather here to socialize, discuss news, and conduct business deals. Among them, you spot a handsome young man dressed in fine linen. He introduces himself as Gaius and invites you to join him and his companions for a glass of wine at a nearby tavern. Gaius is witty and charming, and he easily engages you in conversations about poetry, philosophy, and politics. His friends are equally engaging, and soon you find yourself caught up in their lively banter. Before long, the group decides to visit one of the infamous brothels near the city center. This place is spoken of in hushed tones, and many warn against visiting due to the dangers lurking within. However, curiosity gets the better of you and you agree to accompany them. Upon entering the establishment, you are met with a scene of debauchery and indulgence. Women dressed in provocative clothing dance provocatively, while men openly display their affection for the available girls. The air is thick with the scent of perfume, sweat, and stale waste. Despite the hustle and bustle, you cannot shake off a growing sense of unease. Suddenly, a fight breaks out between two patrons, quickly escalating into a violent brawl. In the ensuing chaos, you realize that this place is a den of vice and lawlessness. Fearful for your safety, you try to flee, but find yourself trapped in a maze of dark, narrow corridors. Just as you lose hope, you stumble upon an exit and rush out into the relative safety of the dimly lit street. Shaken by the experience, you bid farewell to Caius and his companions, vowing never to return to that house of horrors. What you saw and experienced in that brothel in Pompeii is a reflection of the darker aspects of Roman culture. While the city had many positive attributes, it also had its share of vices, including rampant commercialization, overcrowding, crime, and widespread prostitution. The eruption of Mount Vesuvius brought an abrupt end to the city's existence, leaving behind a legacy of both triumph and tragedy. In exploring these artifacts, we gain insight into a world where human brilliance and fallibility intertwine to create a unique tapestry of civilization. Strange road signs. Are they merely pointers or a silent testimony to humanity's desires? Have you ever seen a road sign in the middle of nowhere, miles away from the hustle and bustle of the city? a sign pointing towards something hidden, yet so important that it demands to be shown. Or maybe you've come across a shop sign, discreetly placed above the door, hinting at a world unknown. Well, today we want to show you another such sign, one that may leave you speechless, but to truly appreciate its meaning, you must first understand the story behind it. Imagine being transported back to the year 79 AD. The Roman Empire is at the height of its power, and you find yourself in the bustling city of Vesuvia, a place known not just for its grandeur but also for its intriguing secrets. You are walking along the cobblestone streets of Vesuvia, where each stone seems to bear the traces of thousands of footsteps. The evening air is quiet, and in the silence a strange detail appears, holding your gaze. On the gray stone shimmering in the twilight, a carving stands out. It is not a traditional arrow, nor is it the business sign that many restaurants and bars hang outside their doors. Instead, you see a bold symbol, a relief of a masculine symbol, carved so clearly that there is no mistaking it. It points toward a narrow, dark alley that seems to lead to another world. You frown slightly. A mixture of surprise, curiosity, and a little apprehension rises in your heart. This is a sign so blatantly obvious that there is no room for concealment or modesty. Yet in Vesuvia, it is accepted as an essential part of life. People make no secret of the fact that whoever follows this sign will eventually find the House of Whispers. The House of Whispers, a place famous throughout the city. But why are we shown this ancient symbol in the first place? What purpose does it serve? Is it merely a playful nod to history, or is there a deeper meaning hidden within? The answer, as always, lies in understanding the context. The House of Whispers is not just a random establishment in Vesuvia. It is a brothel, a place where men go to meet people and engage in intimate activities. In Roman culture, brothels were a common sight, often tolerated and even frequented by the elite. So the symbol carved in stone outside the House of Whispers is not just a signpost, it's an emblem of the establishment's nature. It's a visual cue that speaks to the desires and needs of the Roman men of that era. But why do they choose this particular symbol? Why not use something more abstract or less explicit? The answer lies in the heart of Roman culture, their unabashed approach to life. For the Romans, life was not just about duty and discipline, it was also about pleasure and release. Their art, literature, and architecture often depicted the human form in all its glory, and their approach to daily life was equally open. In this context, the symbol carved in stone outside the House of Whispers is not meant to be hidden or ignored. It's a declaration, a testament to the simple fact that humans have desires, and they will be acknowledged and fulfilled. It's a stark contrast to the often repressed attitudes towards sexuality in many modern societies. This raises an interesting question. Why were the Romans so open? Were they less bound by prejudice, or was it because Vesuvia was a place of commerce and pleasure where the truth was laid bare, without any need for concealment? The answer, my friend, is probably a combination of both. The Romans understood the importance of living life to the fullest, embracing all its joys and pleasures, and in a city like Vesuvia where commerce and pleasure were intertwined, it only made sense that their approach to sexuality would be equally open. As you continue your journey through ancient Rome, keep an eye out for similar signs and symbols. Look for the carvings and statues that depict the human form and try to understand the message they convey. Remember, in the world of the Romans, there was no shame in celebrating the body and its desires. It was a celebration of life in all its forms. This is Pompeii in 79 AD. The elite of Roman society has come here for one reason: to meet Vesuvia. They walk the streets, talking about her beauty, her charm, her wit. Some want to buy her favor with gold, others think they can impress her with their lineage, but Vesuvius has something else in mind. You reach the Forum, the bustling center of the city. Here merchants hawk their wares, politicians debate, and fortune tellers read palms. Amidst the chatter, you spot an unassuming doorway, almost hidden. Above it, a sign hangs, barely legible after all these years, but its meaning clear: the House of Whispers. You take a deep breath and step inside. This is part 4 of our exploration of Vesuvius's House of Whispers. If you haven't already, start the video from the beginning to fully immerse yourself in this experience. You turn into a narrow alley. Darkness seems to fall. At the end of that road opens up another light. Before you is a dark wooden door, half closed, as if inviting, as if challenging. When that door opens, you step into a world that Vesuvia has created for nameless encounters, secret desires, and hasty joys. The house is not grand or extravagant. It is not a marble mansion, nor a garden of olive trees. Through the small lobby you encounter murals on the walls, not religious paintings, not myths of gods, but bold images, positions, erotic figures. These paintings are not just art, they are visual menus, to save customers from wondering or asking too many questions. A visual communication, quick, direct. Inside, small rooms appeared. They were narrow, just big enough to accommodate a low stone bed covered with simple straw mattresses. There were no large windows, no natural light, only a few oil lamps. The space was both stuffy and cold, as if the only warmth could come from close contact. You touch the cold stone wall. and you can hear the echoes of thousands of breaths that have once resounded here. This small space has witnessed countless lives intersecting for a moment, only to separate as if they had never known each other. In Vesuvia, the House of Whispers is not a place of love, but a place of satisfaction. The clients come and go, their voices fading into the distance. But amidst the ebb and flow, you notice a young woman standing at the end of the corridor. Her gaze is steady, her posture erect. Even in the dim oil lamplight, you can see determination in her eyes. This is Cleo, one of the women who lives in the House of Whispers. She is different from the rest. She doesn't just endure this life, she navigates it with quiet strength. You continue deeper into the labyrinth of the House of Whispers. The rooms become more worn, the mattresses more threadbare. Still, there is a strange fascination here. In this darkness, in the utter simplicity, you find something compelling, and then you see her perched on the edge of a stone bathtub sits Vesuvia herself, lost in thought. Despite the faded grandeur of the House of Whispers, she exudes a magnetic charm. You realize this place is just a reflection of her spirit, efficient, unapologetic, and utterly self-assured. You find yourself in a long hallway, lined with rooms, separated only by thin walls. Sounds can be heard from one side, a reminder that no one is truly alone. The entire house is like a machine, meticulously designed to run smoothly. Guests enter, choose their rooms, and then leave. A constant flow of pleasure, but also cold to the point of cruelty. And in that simplicity you realize something special. The architecture of the House of Whispers is not about luxury, it is about nakedness. It cuts away all the frivolity, all the shell, so that people can directly face their instincts. Every stone, every corridor, every wall here seems to whisper the same thing. Leave out their fame, money, status. Here, only your truest nature remains. But something else resonates in the architecture. The narrow rooms, the hard stone beds, the windowless walls. They also reflect confinement, not just of the body, but of the women who must live in this house. For them, the House of Whispers is not a place of choice, but a place of existence. You stop in the middle of the corridor. Darkness covers your eyes. All you can hear is your heartbeat. A strange feeling arises, drawn to Vesuvia's boldness, yet shivering at the invisible cold radiating from the stone walls. And you see, the House of Whispers is more than just a brothel. It is a witness, a piece in the vast picture of Vesuvius, where people show everything from creativity in architecture, boldness in art, to the darkest corners of the soul. Here, every stone, every wall, every tiny room whispers history, and that whisper, buried in dust for nearly 2,000 years, is still strong enough to make your heart tremble in this moment. This is Pompeii, the city buried by Vesuvius. Explore more of its ruins with us and uncover the stories that have been silenced for centuries. Click on the screen to continue your journey through time. This is a house. It looks ordinary, doesn't it? Maybe a bit old, maybe a bit neglected, but houses like this, we see them everywhere. But what if I told you this house has a secret? Not a secret whispered in the darkness of the past, but a secret that begs to be heard. Would you believe me if I said this house is full of ghosts? Not the rattling chain kind, but the kind that lingers in the corners, touches your arm and whispers stories. Yeah, I'm talking about the kind of story you don't read in history books. The story of women. You find yourself in Pompeii, Italy. Around 79 AD you walk down narrow streets, dodge carts and dogs, and listen to the murmur of daily life. Suddenly, you notice a house, unassuming from the outside, yet strangely silent. You stop in the narrow hallways, listening to the silence. But the silence is not empty. It is filled with invisible sounds, timid footsteps, whispers in a foreign language, hidden sighs. And it seems, in the darkness, that the women who lived here want to tell their stories. I'm going to tell you their stories today. But before that, let me tell you about something. This house was more than just a dwelling. It was a trap. A gilded cage made of marble and deceit. Welcome to the House of Whispers. Inside you see women, beautiful and graceful, adorned with jewelry, their laughter echoing through the halls. They move like shadows, appearing and disappearing behind curtains. Here, desire is the most powerful currency, and these women are its commodities. But do not be fooled by their enchanting smiles, for they are not here by choice. Each woman in this house has a story of pain, of loss, of lives uprooted from their homeland. Many did not know this city of Vesuvia, didn't know the taste of freedom, didn't know the warmth of a true smile. They were captives of the darkest desires, sold and bought in the cruel market of human trafficking. They were not prostitutes. Prostitution was a job. These women were things without a name, without a past. They were simply called commodities, and now they belong to this house, to its owner. Their days pass between dressing up, applying makeup, hiding their faces behind masks of beauty. Their nights are filled with fleeting joys and tears silently wiped away. They are prisoners of an invisible cage, trapped in a labyrinth of luxury and despair. But even in the depths of despair, the human spirit yearns for freedom. Here too, among the women, there are sparks of hope. One is a young girl, barely more than a child, stolen from her family, ripped away from her childhood. Her name is Amara. Every night when the customers leave and the house falls silent, she takes out a small pouch from under her pillow. Inside, nestled against her worn-out doll, are a few coins, the price of her small freedom. These coins are her hope for escape, her ticket to a new life. She dreams of a day when she can leave this house and walk freely down the streets of Vesuvia, when she can look up at the sky without fear or shame. For now, she holds on to her dream and to the coins that symbolize it. Then there's Alina. She's older, her face etched with the pain of past years. She sees no hope of escape anymore. Her spirit is broken, crushed under the weight of endless nights and hollow joys, yet she still remembers what it's like to feel human. And so she teaches the younger girls, sharing stories of a different life, stories of courage and strength. She becomes their light in the darkness, a reminder that even in the deepest despair, the human spirit endures. And finally, there's Julia. Years of captivity have worn her down. She's seen countless faces, felt countless joys and heartbreaks. In this prison of luxury, she's learned to laugh at fate, to turn pain into a habit. But if you look deep into her eyes, you'll see a fleeting sadness, a reminder that beneath her tough exterior, there's a woman who still dreams of love and belonging. Their stories may be whispers in the vast expanse of history, but they are stories nonetheless. They are stories of survival, of endurance, of the indomitable spirit of women. The House of Whispers is a symbol of the dark side of Roman civilization, a world of luxury and decadence that thrived on the suffering of others. But it's also a place where women found ways to survive, to hold on to their humanity and to dream of a better future. The stories of these women are a testament to the power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and resilience can endure. Standing in front of the ruins of the House of Whispers, you realize that history is more than just battles and leaders. It's the stories of ordinary people, especially the unheard stories of women. It's their stories that make history come alive, that remind us of the strength and resilience of the human spirit, and that teach us that even in the darkest of times, hope and humanity can endure. The rich always say money doesn't bring happiness, but the descendants of the sun found a way to make money and happiness dance together. By the end of the 12th century, their financial resources dwarfed those of many kingdoms. The annual income of the Order of the Temple, also known as the Templars, reached a staggering 32 million livres. To put that into perspective, even the King of France only earned about 26 million. But how did they manage to collect so much money without any noble background? How did these former paupers get richer than kings? While the Templars seized large territories in the Levant, their true wealth began with a handful of pilgrims on dusty roads. Their system of pilgrim protection functioned like a meticulously crafted machine for a small fee, usually around 2 silver pennies. The Templars pledged to safeguard the safety of travelers on designated pilgrimage routes. This wasn't a huge sum, but the sheer volume of pilgrims undertaking these journeys proved to be a goldmine. As thousands of Europeans started heading to the Holy Land, the Templars found themselves managing a significant amount of money entrusted to them for safekeeping. This presented both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge was ensuring the safety of these funds and the pilgrims who placed their trust and valuables in the hands of these holy warriors. If even a single pilgrim lost his treasure or life under the Templars' protection, their reputation would crumble faster than a stale piece of bread. However, if they could prove reliable, each successful journey would amplify their prestige, attracting more pilgrims and consequently, more wealth. In a world where dangers lurked around every corner, from bandits to wild animals, the Templars were ideally positioned to provide this crucial service. Many saw joining the order as a chance to escape poverty. So what began as an oath of protecting pilgrims slowly morphed into a well-oiled financial system. Every evening in the refectory, amid the clatter of plates and the aroma of evening soup, the Templars would gather round tables piled high with sacks of coins. Theirs was a diverse assortment of riches, reflecting the wide array of European currencies. There were heavy Flemish gold coins, Spanish silver deniers, and even English pennies. Each coin was meticulously counted, recorded, and stored away in locked chests. But why do we call them descendants of the sun? When Godfrey of Bouillon, the legendary founder of the order, stood before the looming gates of Jerusalem in 1099, he and his knights gazed upon a land bathed in sunlight. The radiant city they conquered became known as the City of Jerusalem, and because of the order's pivotal role in securing access to it, they took the name Descendants of the Sun, symbolizing their commitment to guiding pilgrims safely towards the Holy Sepulchre. Their badge was a blazing white 8-pointed star on a deep red field, reminiscent of the radiant sun against the darkening sky. This image was seared into the minds of European Christians, becoming synonymous with protection and unwavering strength. Their prowess was not only financial, but military too. Well-trained soldiers with shields emblazoned with the image of a sunburst charged into battle, striking terror into the hearts of their enemies. As tales of their valor spread, more and more men sought to join their ranks, eager to don the distinctive white robes and 8-pointed star. The order swiftly rose from obscurity to prominence, becoming the most feared and respected military force in the region. And as they secured more victories, the flow of donations increased, making them one of the wealthiest religious orders of the time. But their wealth didn't just come from the common folk. Kings and queens also willingly donated to the order, hoping to gain divine favor. These donations included land, gold, and even castles. The Templars didn't hesitate to put these gifts to good use, using them to expand their territory and build impressive structures like the iconic Temple Church in London. Now let us turn the page of our story to delve into a mystery that has endured for centuries. What happened to the descendants of the Sun after the fall of Jerusalem in 1187? And why does their legacy continue to fascinate us today? Join me next time as we uncover the secrets that lie ahead. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. You step inside, the air heavy with history. Though the entrance is modest, what awaits is anything but. The rooms are small, almost cramped, yet surprisingly numerous, like a subterranean maze. In the flickering lamplight, you glimpse frescoed walls, their colors startlingly vibrant under the grime. Then you see them, the paintings. At first, you think they are mere decorations, common motifs found in many Roman villas, but then you realize these are not decorations. These are pictures of people in intimate moments, lovers entwined, bodies arched, mouths open in silent cries. And in that instant, you understand, this is no ordinary house. You are in the House of Whispers, where shadows hold secrets and walls narrate tales of unbridled desire. The House of Whispers, also known as the Lupanar, stands as a stark reminder that beneath the grandeur of ancient Rome, life pulsed with raw human passions. Tucked away in the maze-like streets of Pompeii, it offered a discreet space where the wealthy and influential could indulge in their darkest desires. Now, as you walk through its hushed halls, each step echoes with the whispers of countless trysts, creating an eerie symphony of the past. As you move from room to room, you'll encounter frescoes that seem to mock the very concept of discretion. Bold, vibrant colors leap out at you, depicting scenes of passionate embraces and uninhibited revelry. Some paintings exude an almost artistic grace, capturing the tenderness or ecstasy of the moment. Others are brutally graphic, leaving nothing to the imagination. The artists who created these masterpieces weren't merely chronicling events, they were storytellers of desire, painting narratives that transcended the boundaries of time. But amidst the spectacle, something else catches your eye. Each painting seems to have a unique price subtly inscribed beside it. At first, you dismiss it as mere decoration, but as you continue your eerie tour, you realize these are not prices, they are menus. And suddenly, the House of Whispers reveals its true purpose. It wasn't just a place of clandestine encounters, it was also a hub of commerce, a marketplace of flesh. These paintings were not merely art, they were a visual catalog of services available within these four walls. Each image was a discreet advertisement, each price a whispered negotiation. In the dimly lit corners of these small rooms, deals were struck, fortunes exchanged hands, and lives intertwined in a complex web of desire and transaction. The frescoes transformed into a visual language, understood by all who entered. A visitor, perhaps a weary traveler or a bored noble, could simply point to his desired tableau and his wish would be fulfilled. No need for lengthy discussions or explicit requests. The image itself sufficed. It was a silent understanding between the viewer and the establishment, a shared acknowledgement of the pleasures about to be exchanged. But as you stand amidst these faded frescoes, you realize the gravity of what you're witnessing. The House of Whispers isn't just a relic of the past, it's a testament to the complexities of human nature. It forces you to confront a stark reality. Human desire, in its rawest form, knows no bounds. It thrives in secrecy, in the hidden corners of society, untouched by the moral compasses that guide the daylight hours. And as the dust of antiquity settles around you, you're left with a profound realization. Civilization may have advanced, societal norms may have evolved, but human desire remains unchanged. It persists, undeterred by time, whispering its timeless tales through the ages. The frescoes of the House of Whispers are a haunting reminder of this eternal truth. They stare back at you, challenging you to acknowledge the primal force that unites us across millennia. In the end, you leave the House of Whispers with more questions than answers. Was the pursuit of pleasure a necessary distraction from the harsh realities of daily life? Did the frescoes serve as a form of liberation, an open acknowledgement of desires that were otherwise suppressed? And why does the unapologetic display of desire both intrigue and disturb us today? As you wander through the excavated ruins of Pompeii, the House of Whispers will continue to echo in your mind, a stark counterpoint to the grandeur of the Roman world. It serves as a reminder that beneath a veneer of civilization, the raw instincts of human nature always persist. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Picture this. It's a normal morning in 79 AD. Vesuvia is alive with its usual rhythms. The markets are bustling, the taverns are filled with laughter, and the House of Whispers is open, welcoming visitors. No one knows that in a few hours the city will fall into a nightmare from which it will never wake. Mount Vesuvius, which had been silent for centuries, suddenly shook. The rumble from the earth was like the roar of an angry god. At first people thought it was just an earthquake. something Italy had always endured. But when the sky suddenly darkened in the middle of the day, they realized the real disaster was coming. From the crater, a huge column of smoke rose, so high that it blocked the sky. It was not just smoke, but a deadly mixture of ash, poisonous gas, and hot rock. In an instant, the sunlight disappeared, leaving Vesuvia in a darkness that seemed like the end of the world. People panicked, merchants abandoned their stalls, mothers ran with their children, soldiers frantically searched for a way out. In the House of Whispers, women clung to each other, amid the screams of customers, amid walls that shook as if they were about to collapse. No one thought of lust anymore, only a primal, naked fear, devouring every heart. Ash fell like rain, first lightly, then thickly. The streets turned into a sea of grey-white, roofs collapsed under the weight. Those who did not die of suffocation were buried in the thick ash. Then, at the fateful moment, a red-hot lava flowed down the mountainside, sweeping everything away. Vesuvia, with all its laughter, all its secrets, all its sins and desires, disappeared in an instant. But in the midst of that destruction, something strange happened. The ash of Vesuvius became a giant blanket, burying and preserving the city. The walls, the houses, the House of Whispers were frozen in place at the last moment. One could imagine that the god of death pressed the pause button, preserving Vesuvius for posterity to admire. For centuries, Vesuvia lay forgotten beneath a thick layer of rock, until 18th century archaeologists dug in and were amazed to discover an entire city intact, as if time had stood still since '79. And in the middle of Vesuvia, the House of Whispers emerged, becoming a museum of human desire, where frescoes, small rooms, and traces of anonymous women still remain. You stand in that house today, knowing that what you see is more than ruins. It is an echo of a tragedy, a testament to the insignificance of man before the awesome power of nature. Vesuvia lived, loved, laughed, sinned, and then was blown away in an instant. And in the silence that enveloped the ashes, you hear a voice whisper everything in the world: power, pleasure, fame can disappear in a single breath of the universe. Only memory remains to remind those who listen. The voice fades and you are left alone in the House of Whispers, surrounded by ghosts from the past. Outside, the wind howls, perhaps telling tales of the great eruption. You touch a fresco and feel something warm, not from the sun, but from the living breath of history. These whispers are more than just stories. They are the city's prayer, its lament, its eternal song. They tell of bravery, love, loss, and hope, of ordinary people who lived, dreamed, and died just as you do. Their lives may have been different, but their essence was the same. As you walk through the silent rooms, you understand that the true value of this place lies not in its marble or gold, but in its stories. Stories of a lost world, yes, but also of humanity, of our common story. This is a place of remembrance, of connection with our ancestors. Standing here, you are part of something bigger than yourself, linked to countless souls that have walked these paths. Here, among the remnants of a vanished civilization, you rediscover the strength, the tenacity, and the ingenuity of the human spirit. In the face of such immense tragedy, you feel small, insignificant, and in that realization lies the greatness of this place. It is a reminder that no matter how powerful we may think ourselves to be, we are ultimately fragile creatures at the mercy of fate. Yet life goes on. Nature, in its relentless cycle, has reclaimed Vesuvius. Green shoots push through the cracks in the ancient stones. Vines climb the ruined walls as if eager to weave new stories. The birds sing their carefree songs, oblivious to the silent suffering of the past. And in this contrast between life and death, between the vibrancy of nature and the stillness of the ruins, you find a profound meaning. Life is precious, fleeting. It must be cherished every day, every moment. As you leave the House of Whispers, the sunlight seems warmer, the colors more vivid. You carry within you the memory of a lost world, but also the strength and wisdom it offers. You return to your time, changed by what you have seen and felt. You carry with you the stories of Vesuvius, eager to share them, to keep the memory of these whispers alive. For in doing so, you pay homage to the eternal flame of humanity that burns bright even in the face of overwhelming darkness. From the ashes of Vesuvia, the story does not end. Human history never ends with a buried city, but always opens new chapters, where light and darkness continue to intertwine. And now, please join me through another door, where legend and reality merge, where warriors wearing the radiant cloak of the sun wrote a mysterious chapter of history. They were known by many names, but in surviving legend they are most commonly known as the descendants of the sun. They began as neither a powerful force nor a mighty army. They were a small band of wandering knights who believed in the need to protect humanity from the chaos that was engulfing the Mediterranean and the Middle East. In a time when religion, commerce, and violence were merging into a raging maelstrom, they stood for a single cause: to protect a weak on the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Imagine the road to the holy city was fraught with danger. Bandits lurked on the mountain slopes, wandering tribes were ready to block the way, and slave traders were always on the lookout for victims. Pilgrims, ordinary people carrying only their faith, were easy prey. In this setting, the small band of knights appeared like a bright light in the darkness. They fought not for gold or power. Their strongest weapon was not only swords and spears, but also their absolute belief in a sacred mission. It is said that in their first battles, they had only a few old swords and a few weak horses, but their courage made the bandits flee. From then on, pilgrims began to seek them out, as if seeking a safe shelter in the fierce desert. And from these small steps, a legend was sown. It was believed that they carried the blood of ancient warriors, protected and illuminated by the sun. Some swore to have seen their cloaks glow as the sun rose on the battlefield, as if embroidered with fire. Whether it was true or not, no one could say for sure. But the story spread far and wide, making their reputation resound throughout the land. The descendants of the sun not only protected, they became symbols of hope. 2 pilgrims, they were companions. 2 orphans along the way, they were fathers. 2 plundered villagers, they were shields. They lived austerely, ate and slept under the stars, shared every crumb of bread, every drop of water. But in their eyes, there was always a fire burning, the fire of ideals. Gradually, their journey was no longer limited to Jerusalem. Step by step, they became an organized group, with their own laws, their own symbols, the shining sun on their shields and their cloaks. And with each battle, each appearance, their legend was written a new line, denser and more brilliant. And then, as is the law of history, when a seed is sown in barren soil, it grows into a tree. That tree, though still fragile, has begun to spread its branches, preparing to become a force that no one can ignore. The adventure of the descendants of the sun has only just begun. From unknown knights, they are about to embark on a stormy path, where fame and power await, where glory and tragedy always go hand in hand. But now, in the memories of those early years, we still see them, like small flames, lighting up the darkness of the times. From today's perspective, it might seem like a big fuss over a bunch of old monks. But back then, when 8 men made a solemn promise in a ruined chapel, they lit a fire that would illuminate Europe and the Middle East for centuries. And I'm not exaggerating. This is the story of a group of warriors who didn't seek fortune or fame, but whose actions changed the course of history. Now, let's go back to the year 1098, more specifically, July. The place, a small stone chapel on the outskirts of Jerusalem, standing silent witness to countless stories of pilgrims. Inside, amidst the dim oil lamp lighting, 8 men kneel. They are not nobles, not kings' sons, but simple knights and squires. Among them stands a man with a tired face and silver hair. The leader, he looks around at his companions, their faces illuminated by the flickering candlelight. They are united by a dream, an idea that could change everything. The leader raises his hand, silencing the murmuring. In a deep, resonant voice, he begins the oath. We come from different backgrounds, speak different languages, but we are united by one goal. From this day forward, we shall be known as the military order of the children of the sun. We abandon worldly possessions and dedicate ourselves to serving God and the Holy Sepulchre. Our lives belong to this ideal. Poverty will be our constant companion, humility our guide, and service our strength. We shall not seek fame, nor do we desire earthly rewards. Our steps will be directed solely towards protecting pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land. And should the need arise, we shall lay down our lives for this sacred duty. A heavy silence falls over the chapel. Each word hangs in the air, resonating within the rough stone walls. Finally, they whisper in unison, "So be it." The ceremony is over. They are now officially the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, or as they would later be called, the Knights of the Sun. But what happens next? How does a small group of volunteers transform into a legendary military order that reshapes history? If you want to know more, stay tuned, because this is where their fascinating journey truly begins. After the ceremony, the Knights of the Sun go out into the world, carrying with them the ideals of service, humility, and sacrifice. They have no money, no land, and are looked down upon by many. But they are driven by a powerful dream, which is to protect the pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem. Their dedication attracts attention. People begin to talk about the children of the sun, these poor knights who don't ask for much, but stand firm against robbers and wild men. Stories spread like wildfire across medieval Europe and the Middle East. As more and more pilgrims seek out the Knights of the Sun for protection, the group grows steadily. Men from all walks of life come together, united by a common ideal. They leave behind their former existence, embracing the vows of poverty and service. Soon, instead of 8, there are 50, then 100, then 500. The small chapel can no longer contain their ranks, so they move into a former leper colony outside the city walls. This too becomes too small, and they are forced to expand. Over the years, the Knights of the Sun establish themselves not just as protectors of pilgrims, but as an independent military force. They build fortified houses along the road to Jerusalem, which serve as both lodging for travelers and bases for the knights. But what exactly did life look like for these medieval warriors? What did they eat? How did they train? And how did they spend their days? To find out, watch our next video. And remember, every great story starts with a single step. So don't hesitate to take that first step towards your dreams. Who knows where it might lead you? The Knights of the Sun prove it. A small group of volunteers who dared to dream of a better world slowly grew into a force that would shape history. And you, who knows, you could be the spark that ignites a similar transformation in your corner of the world. Stay tuned, because the story of the Knights of the Sun has just begun. They have gone from a small group to a powerful force. Now they must face new challenges and dangers. Will they rise to meet them, or will their dreams shatter? Find out in the next episode. See you soon. The brilliant career of the descendants of the Sun may seem to have been reduced to nothing by a single ill-conceived decision made by a jealous monarch. However, we should not forget that not only kings, popes, and queens are capable of great sins, but also ordinary citizens. When there are too many of them and they feel strong enough. Part 10. The Corruption of Justice. In the middle of the 13th century, when the Holy Land had already been lost, the Order of the Sun found itself at a crossroads. No longer needed as warriors, the monks were at risk of becoming obsolete. To adapt to the changing times, they took up a new battle. Not against the enemies of Christ, but against poverty. Now they are already rich and influential enough to help the needy and even engage in money lending. Such activities, however, led to new problems. Often those who took loans from the order were unable to repay them. Naturally, the Knights of the Sun demanded their return. Where did the common folk get that kind of money? So the order's activities expanded to include the collection of taxes and duties in local villages. This, of course, was not something the poor peasants were happy about. Soon complaints about the greedy knights reached the ears of Pope Innocent IV. The head of the church was annoyed by such complaints, but he knew very well that the order had done a lot of good, helping to spread Christianity and fighting heretics. So the Pope summoned Grand Master Geoffrey de Charny to Rome. "Do you know why I summoned you?" "I humbly await your holiness's judgment," replied the Grand Master. "You have become too powerful and rich. You are exploiting the weak. If you don't change, I will be forced to take away your privileges and dissolve the order," the Pope threatened. Geoffrey realized that the Pope was right and promised to put things in order. Did the Grand Master keep his promise? Part 12. The betrayal of the Grand Master will show. Upon returning home, Geoffrey de Charny summoned a chapter of the order and announced that from that day on, the knights would not engage in collecting taxes and other duties and would return what they had collected in excess of the established norm. Moreover, all donations to the order would be used only to help the poor. All these measures caused outrage among the knights. After all, it was precisely these activities that brought them income, which they used to lead a comfortable lifestyle. The knights started talking about rebellion, but Geoffrey was prepared for this. He divided the order into two parts, one of which would remain loyal to the rule, while the other would be disbanded. Those who chose to stay in the order had to take an oath of allegiance to the Pope. Moreover, Geoffrey went to Paris and donated the order's treasures to the poor. Then he did the same thing in other cities, having previously distributed weapons and armor to those who needed them. Thus, the treasures of the order were gone. Some accused the Grand Master of insanity. What was he doing? Destroying the very foundation of the order. But he was adamant. He didn't want to see the poverty that existed around him anymore. And besides, he believed that the Lord would provide for everything. As it often happens in life, the Lord did provide for everything. The treasures were gone, but the knights still needed to eat. Moreover, many of them were injured and could not work. The Pope kept his word and provided for them. The tax farmers who had previously suffered from the greed of the Knights of the Sun now voluntarily gave them food and money. Shopkeepers who had complained about the knights to the Pope also contributed. Thus, without violating their vows, the knights were able to survive. By giving up material goods, they became truly free. And as the saying goes, freedom is a precious gift. As soon as the news of the generosity of the knights reached the common people, their attitude towards them changed dramatically. The knights of the order became role models of selfless service, and merchants and artisans began to donate funds to help the brethren, hoping that one day they too might need the help of the order. But this was no longer possible. The world was changing rapidly, and besides, as history shows, this particular turn of events was only a temporary respite before the final collapse. The Order of the Sun was no longer capable of resisting the currents of its time. Once again, the knights found themselves on the verge of destruction. If Vesuvia shows us the dark side of human desires, if the descendants of the sun tells the tragedy of power and its fall, then Aethelburg, an ancient city where many cultures intersect, opens before our eyes a completely different scene. Daily life simple yet profound in every street meal. Imagine yourself walking through the ancient stone gates of Aethelburg. There is no sound of galloping horses, no smell of battle smoke, but the chirping of street vendors, the aroma of roasted beans mixed with the smoke from red-hot charcoal stoves. The main street stretches out, lined on both sides with small shops, wooden stalls, and bamboo baskets. Their cuisine is not just about eating and drinking, but a common language of the whole community. It is said that in Aethelburg, if you want to understand the people here, you don't need to go to the library or the palace. Just walk around the market and have a meal with them, because, in those common dishes, we see a collective soul. One morning, when the sky was still misty, a farmer carried a basket of hot roasted chickpeas on his shoulder. He called out as he walked, and immediately the children followed. running and asking for a few beans. The craftsman, after a hard day's work, would stop at a small shop and buy a loaf of barley bread with lentils and herbs. Sailors from the harbor would also jostle, looking for a small piece of fish to roast over hot coals, eat quickly and then set sail again. Aethelburg's street food scene makes no distinction between rich and poor. In the same stall, you can find both nobles in gold-embroidered robes and workers in rough cloth. They stand side by side, holding the same bread in their hands, chewing the same flavor. It is a rare moment of equality, when hunger erases class differences and brings people closer together. What's special is that the food here is not only filling, but also carries stories. Each dish is a thread in a vast cultural tapestry. Roasted chickpeas tell of the windy fields south of the city. Lentils recall the caravans that crossed the desert to bring seeds here. Grilled small fish are gifts from the Aurelian River that flows through the heart of the city, where the waters are always full of fish and shrimp. When you sit down at a stall, eating a piece of hot barley bread, you not only taste the saltiness of the salt, the richness of the grain, but also hear the laughter of many generations. The stories exchanged between sellers and buyers, the hasty greetings, the short conversations, but enough to warm up a long day. It was the historian Diodorus who first recorded this scene. Walking along the streets of Aethelburg, we saw the daily life of the common people. It was not uncommon to see a group of boys playing, while waiting for their bread to bake, or an old woman leaning on a cane, enjoying a cup of vinegar mixed with wine. The women of Aethelburg are known for their intelligence and wit. They gather in the agora discussing politics and philosophy while sipping vinegar mixed with wine. For the men, it is a stimulating drink, helping them to overcome fatigue and heat during working hours. While strolling along the river, you may see fishermen casting their nets or men washing their clothes. After the day's work, they often stop by taverns, gathering around tables to enjoy the fruits of their labor, accompanied by a mug of beer or wine. Some prefer a simpler pleasure, spreading beans or chickpeas on a flat stone and savoring the taste with a bit of oil and vinegar. Even the children here seem to have a particular fondness for these legumes, often seen enjoying them in their spare time. Among the adults, there are those who, after a hard day of labor, return home exhausted and too hungry to bother with cooking. They seek solace in the comforting warmth of a bakery, indulging in the simple pleasure of fresh bread. In this ancient city, you'll come across merchants tending to their shops, philosophers lost in thought, and young people engaged in athletic activities. But what unites them all is their love for food, which transcends social status and roles. Regardless of who you are or what you do, in Aethelburg you are part of a community that gathers around a table to share a meal. Here, a simple loaf of bread can be a source of endless discussions, a topic that everyone can relate to and exchange their thoughts freely. In a world where people once fought fiercely against each other, now in Aethelburg, over cups of vinegar mixed with wine, they share stories and laughter, fostering a sense of connection and belonging. Aethelburg's street food is more than just sustenance. It's a reflection of the city's soul. It embodies the spirit of a community that finds strength in unity, where differences fade away in the face of shared humanity. And as we walked down that street, in the smell of smoke and baked goods, we understood a simple truth. Sometimes, the greatest strength of a civilization is not in the sword, but in the ability to nourish people with the most ordinary things. Aethelburg is a city that seems to have sprung out of the pages of a legend. Its tall stone walls stand firm, embracing a town square surrounded by two-story houses with red-tiled roofs that gently sway in the afternoon sun. From afar, it's just a glimpse of towering stone walls and red-tiled roofs swaying in the afternoon sun. But let us step closer. Let us listen to the whispers of daily life. Let us feel the pulse of a civilization beating beneath the tranquil surface. On the wide stone-paved road, footsteps echo steadily. The sound of horse hooves merges with the clear cry of the vendors. Hot bread, freshly baked, crispy on the outside, soft inside. The aroma wafts through the air, mingling with the rich scent of roasted chickpeas. In between, the joyous giggles of children at their games. Sometimes a stumble, a scraped knee, and then the helping hand of a friend. Their clothes covered in dust, but their eyes still sparkling with mischief. As the day breaks, the sky ablaze with the hues of dawn, the Aethelburg market comes alive. Farmers from the suburbs, their faces weathered by the sun and wind, enter the city carrying their day's harvest. Deep purple eggplants jostle for space with lush green cucumbers still smelling of fertile earth, and the air is thick with the sweet, earthy fragrance of freshly cut onions. The blacksmith, his hammer still smoking from the forge, stops by the market, his heavy steps echoing on the stone pavement. He takes a seat, his muscular arms resting on the worn table. A bowl of steaming lentil soup soon appears in his hands. With a satisfied sigh, he eats, wiping the sweat from his brow with a linen cloth. Nearby, the tailor sits in the corner, his needle flashing as he threads his way through the colorful fabrics. Occasionally he looks up, a gentle smile on his lips, ready with a kind word for everyone passing by. As noon falls, the streets come alive with activity. Smoke curls upwards from the street vendors, carrying their delicious offerings to the hungry townsfolk. The air is filled with the mouth-watering smell of grilled fish, the comforting aroma of burnt barley bread and the rich, toasty fragrance of fatty roasted chickpeas. Amidst the hustle and bustle, a fisherman, his face tanned and creased from years spent under the sun, sits down beside the potter. They raise their glasses of barley wine in a silent toast, their eyes reflecting the shared stories of their lives. Their hands, rough and strong, tell tales of hard work and dedication. The fisherman speaks of the river, its moods, its bounty, and its secrets. The potter listens, his gaze far away, lost in the world of clay and creation. When the stories end, the fisherman adds another log to the fire, chasing away the chill and keeping the warmth alive. In the narrow, cobbled alleys, life unfolds in its simplicity. A mother combs her little daughter's hair, humming a tuneless song. The child, with the patience of youth, sits still, her eyes gazing into the distance. An old woman, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, sells her flowers, a bunch of fragrant wild chrysanthemums. A young man stands on the porch, his cheeks flushed, practicing singing, his voice still trembling, but his eyes shining with the fire of dreams. Each step echoes with authenticity, devoid of pretense, a testament to the unadorned reality that defines their existence. As the afternoon deepens, the golden sunlight bathes the ancient walls in its warm embrace. The children, their voices ringing with joy, gather on the open ground, playing the timeless game of stone throwing. Their laughter mingles with the rhythmic thud of stones against stones, creating a harmonious melody of childhood glee. The elderly, their faces etched with the passage of time, sit on the porch, their eyes twinkling with wisdom and nostalgia. They speak in hushed tones of harsh winters, of bountiful rice harvests and the turbulent years of war. Their stories, though somber, are threads in the tapestry of history, passed down to keep the memory alive. When the moon claims its place in the velvet sky, the rampart stands silhouetted against the starlight. Aethelburg at night, the streets are quiet, inviting rest and relaxation after a day well lived. Yet life doesn't slumber. In the warm glow of the tavern, the sound of stringed instruments weaves with the murmur of voices and bouts of laughter. Outside, the beggar, his form stooped with age and hardship, sits huddled under the eaves. A passerby, moved by compassion, drops a piece of hot bread into the outstretched hand. It's a small gesture, yet in the tapestry of the night, it shines as a beacon of humanity and shared existence. And so the story of Aethelburg unfolds, not in vibrant colors, but in the soft hues of everyday life. It's the smell of wood smoke curling from kitchen chimneys, the echo of children's laughter bouncing off the ancient walls, the feel of rough spun cloth against bare arms, the taste of roasted chickpeas on sun-warmed stones. It's in the shared glance between a baker and his wife, the calloused hands of a stonemason, the tinkling laughter of barmaids, the soft murmur of lovers under the moonlight. Life in Aethelburg is a tapestry woven with threads of simplicity, resilience, and quiet dignity. It's a tribute to the human spirit that finds beauty and strength in the everyday, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. As we leave, the image of the sprawling ramparts in the grand square fades into the twilight of memory. What lingers are the echoes of footsteps on cobblestones, the fading strains of a street musician's song, the lingering aroma of wood smoke and spices. These are the threads that weave the soul of a city, the essence of a civilization. And we carry these memories not as tourists, but as fellow travelers in the grand journey of life. A long, long time ago in the heart of Europe, nestled between rolling hills and shimmering rivers, there was a town called Aethelburg. It wasn't a grand place. Its name didn't resonate with power or wealth. But within its modest boundaries lived a community whose spirit was as vast as the horizon. This story is about them, the folks of Aethelburg. We've already heard about the morning greetings in Aethelburg. Now let us take a look at what happens when the sun climbs higher in the sky and the town wakes up with the scent of fresh bread and simmering lentil stews. It's lunchtime. In the town square, the sound of hammers mingles with the laughter of children chasing pigeons. Thomas the blacksmith wipes the sweat from his brow, his muscles corded under his tunic. Across the square, young Wilhelm helps his father unload a cart of grain. Their sacks are heavy, but their smiles are lighter. They are like the wheat they carry, strong and ready to nourish. In the shade of an old oak tree sits a group of women. Elara, with her gentle eyes and nimble fingers, is known for her healing balms. Beside her sits Greta, her hands gnarled by years of toil, yet her spirit is bright as the sun. Between them, spread out on a checkered cloth, is their midday meal. No meats or fancy cheeses here, just bowls of roasted chickpeas and lentil stew, each seasoned with the salt of their shared stories and the pepper of their laughter. For the folks of Aethelburg, lunch is more than just sustenance. It's a pause in the symphony of life, a moment to harmonize with the rhythm of the earth and the grind of their days. Meanwhile, in a small cottage on the outskirts of town, an old woman named Agnes stirs a pot of barley porridge. Her wrinkled face, a map of a life well lived, breaks into a smile as she remembers the countless meals she shared with her late husband. Outside, the wind whispers tales of faraway lands, but here, in this humble kitchen, there is contentment. For Agnes, porridge isn't just a dish, It's a link to her past, a reminder of the love that filled this house, and it's a testament to the enduring spirit of Aethelburg, where life's richness is measured not in material wealth, but in the warmth of a shared meal. The aroma of grilling fish drifts across the river from the docks. It's the work of Old Man Finn, a fisherman with a heart as big as the river itself. His catch of the day, small fish from the Aurelian River, are cleaned and grilled to perfection, their scales catching the sunlight like scattered jewels. Each fish is a story, each bite a memory. For the folks of Aethelburg, fish isn't just food, it's a connection to the lifeblood of their town, the river that flows through it. It's a reminder of the bounty of nature and the skill of those who harness its gifts. As the day wanes, the people of Aethelburg gather once more in the town square, some with baskets of roasted chickpeas, others with loaves of barley bread. All are welcome, young and old, rich and poor. They sit together, sharing their stories and their bread, their laughter echoing in the twilight. Here in Aethelburg, the evening isn't just the end of a day, it's the beginning of a shared experience. It's a time to unwind the threads of the day, to weave them together with the threads of community. The sky deepens into the hues of twilight, and the stars begin their nightly vigil. The townspeople of Aethelburg, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of oil lamps, prepare to call it a day. Agnes returns to her little cottage, her heart full from a day of shared meals and laughter. Old Man Finn rests by his hearth, the day's catch a success, his spirit as buoyant as the fish that leaped in his net. Thomas the blacksmith hangs his tools up, their shapes blurring in the fading light, each tool a silent witness to a day's labor. And young Wilhelm, his cheeks flushed with the day's work, helps his father stow the grain, the sacks becoming cradles of dreams under the watchful gaze of the moon. Thus the day ends in Aethelburg, not with a flourish, but with the quiet dignity of a life well lived, a life sustained by the simple joys of community: roasted chickpeas, hearty lentil stews, freshly baked barley bread, and the sweet taste of grilled fish from the Aurelian River. In these humble foods, the people of Aethelburg found not just nourishment but a reflection of their shared humanity, a reminder that life's greatest riches are often found in the simplest of meals and the warmth of a community that gathers to share them. And so we come to the end of our journey through the daily life of the people of Aethelburg. We've walked their streets, shared their meals, and perhaps most importantly, glimpsed the values that shaped their lives. For the people of Aethelburg, life wasn't about grand displays or material wealth. It was about the quiet dignity of a shared existence, the comfort of tradition, and the strength that came from being part of a community. Their days, though marked by hard work, were also filled with moments of joy, of laughter, and of course, of good food. From the roasted chickpeas that accompanied them through their busy days to the hearty barley bread that graced their tables. Their food wasn't just sustenance, it was a reflection of their values, their history, and their indomitable spirit. In the heart of Aetolia, nestled between rolling hills and sparkling rivers, stands a modest wooden stall. Its weathered surface bears silent witness to countless stories that have unfolded here over the years. This unassuming stall is more than just a place to buy food. It is a portal to the soul of Aethelburg, a realm where history whispers through each dish and every bite tells a tale. Aethelburg is not just a city, it is a living, breathing entity. It is a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, triumph and struggle, all seasoned with the aroma of freshly baked bread and simmering stews. Here, time seems to slow down, allowing one to fully immerse in the simple yet profound rhythm of life. But what is street food? It is a culinary lullaby that soothes the weary traveler. It is a feast for the eyes and a symphony for the palate. In Aethelburg, the humble street food vendor is not just a purveyor of sustenance, but a storyteller. With deft hands, he crafts each dish into a miniature work of art. His creations are not merely food, they are edible poems that pay homage to the land and its bounty. The air in Aethelburg is alive with the tantalizing aroma of spices and herbs mingling with the gentle murmur of satisfied customers. Each dish is a labor of love, prepared with the freshest ingredients and seasoned with time-honored recipes that have been passed down through generations. Rye bread, a staple of Aethelburg, is more than just a carbohydrate source. It is a symbol of resilience. Its dense, hearty texture mirroring the strength of the people who have toiled and persevered through the ages. And then there is the roasted bean, a simple yet profound offering. As the beans are roasted, their skins crackle, releasing intoxicating aromas that waft through the cobblestone streets, beckoning passers-by to stop and savor the moment. The first crack is like a whispered secret, the second, a triumphant shout. The beans transform into a rich, dark elixir that promises warmth and comfort. Further along, the tantalizing scent of grilled fish beckons, drawing one to a stall where nimble fingers dance over the grill. Each flip and turn is a carefully choreographed movement, ensuring that the fish cooks to perfection. The result is a culinary masterpiece, flaky, succulent, and imbued with the essence of the river. Each dish in Aethelburg is more than just a collection of ingredients. It is a reflection of the city's soul. The hearty lentil soup, simmered to perfection, is a reminder of the importance of community and shared experiences. It is a dish that warms not only the body but also the heart. As the sun begins its descent, casting long shadows across the city, the street food stalls come alive with a magical glow. The flickering flames of the grills illuminate the smiling faces of the vendors and the awestruck expressions of the diners. It is said that behind every great city lies a network of bustling streets, food stalls that serve not just as arteries but as storytellers, narrating the city's history, culture, and soul. And in Aethelburg, Bulgaria, this is more than just a saying. It is a way of life. The humble street food is not just sustenance, it is a celebration of life. It is a testament to the human spirit's ability to find joy and beauty in the simplest of things. It is a reminder that true happiness is not found in extravagance, but in the richness of everyday moments. So, dear friends, when you find yourself in Aethelburg, don't just eat the food, savor it, feel it, let it tell you stories. For in doing so, you will discover that the true essence of Aethelburg lies not in its grand structures, but in the aroma of its streets, in the taste of its humble fare, and in the smiles of its people. And with that, our journey through ethereal history comes to an end. But remember, the past is not just in museums or old books. It's in every bite of street food, in every cobblestone street. Keep your eyes open, your hearts curious, and your stomachs ready for adventure. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep discovering the wonders that await you. Goodbye.